They said, because of course, they seem, they break my heart when I'm leaving them. But they said, as soon as we had them into the back area, they were all over.
Oh my
us.
gosh, Ellie doesn't. Ellie, as soon as she gets
Like
out
they
of the
said.
car to go, she's all happy.
My dogs are so bad when it comes to being away from me.
Does
Bad.
anyone know anyone that would stay at the house to dog sit? We have a perfect arrangement with a fence and pet door. So there's almost nothing to do. We just don't want to go at her old age.
I don't know of anybody.
We've got somebody coming in August, and Gibson's uses for also. Somehow send you that information.
I appreciate it. I don't know at this point if we. if it's gonna
Yeah, you're gonna be
long.
watching Two Dogs Our House.
Will she stay at your house?
Yeah, but I don't know if she was gonna spend the nights or, because she's got a
Spend the
couple.
nights at our house, do the rest of your house is.
In August,
Well, we have to visit my husband's sisters and they tell us. We don't know. But July or August.
No, my vet has a list of people. I don't know them, but they're people that, a list that the vet gives out.
and Ranch Hand may have some information too.
They're the ones losing the
Yeah,
business.
that's right.
Maybe they'll get a kickback.
Yeah. Okay, let's call to order our meeting of the Rush Conservation Board for Thursday, April 10th, 2025.
Okay. Chairman Watson,
Here,
Deputy Chairwoman Liederman,
Here,
Member Williver,
Here.
Member Hoke. Here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, she can't.
Hold on.
she's here.
Well, it says
That's
she
what
has,
happened to me last night. No sound.
it says she has
The
sound
rest
though.
of us could hear you
Let
on
me,
Zoom. could hear you
yes.
perfectly.
Right. Yeah, last time I was on the thing and nobody could hear me. I could hear everything perfectly, but
You know
And
why? Because I
could hear you.
think
you could hear me.
messed around with the volume again on here.
I saw you were not muted.
No, the volume's on.
so it could be the same
Good
problem.
answer.
or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oops. Hold on, Beth, we can't hear you.
She could call. Isn't that what, did you end up calling on the phone?
Yeah, I caught on the phone.
Yeah.
We put the phone out there.
Oh,
We could do that.
we could, we could. I'm not really sure why it says that she is
She has-
not muted, so,
She has to mute her computer. And then she can talk on the phone. Otherwise she'll get a feedback. Weird.
okay, Member Kraus,
Hi.
you are here. Okay,
Whatever.
how do we want to do that then? Do we want,
Oh, she can hear it. Can she hear us?
can you hear us, Beth? Okay,
Ever call Dave's phone number or?
Yeah, she can call my phone.
Ever call Dave?
do you want to call
Or-
Dave, Beth?
Sure, give me his number.
Just say your number. She can call.
Do
She's
we
got-
have?
And she wants to
We
meet
have
you, or you
audio.
can mute her. Don't make.
So have you been gone the whole week?
Okay,
Yeah,
so I
something
can, I
like
should
that.
mute her, yep, okay,
But
all
I'll
right.
meet you tomorrow.
So I will, Beth, I'm just
Gone home
muting
now.
you,
Work late.
so when you call
Oh.
in, you won't have feedback. Okay,
Are you in Colorado? Or Georgia?
Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
I was looking for Beth. This is Dave Watson from the Conservation Board.
I think you have the wrong number.
Okay, thanks. I got it.
Let's call everybody on Dave's contact list.
let's see here.
Do you have a special towel that you use when the dogs get wet?
in the laundry room, there are a couple up way top. you know.
Okay, all right. Sorry for using the dish.
Oh,
I suppose you could.
That wasn't a dish one, that's- I used that for something else, so that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, thanks for doing that.
What was it? Snowy, day and
Sure they appreciated it, although I'm so surprised that Quincy let you do it, but he did.
Oh, not the pause, but just down the back. Yeah, he's a different dog. Once he gets used to me being there and getting all the excitement out.
And I like, I could barely see
Settle
it.
down.
I'm trying. Oh,
There's
okay.
his number, Dave.
He'll put his head on my.
Put
Right
his number
there.
up there.
Do you want to give her a
Oh,
call?
he does love that.
Yeah. how
Call
you
that
do-
number.
I,
So,
and
Mine is
there was-
585
Something was wrong with this.
259.
You might have seen
if
it.
you want to
This is
call
just
her at
called
this
out.
number right here,
Okay,
I didn't even.
just I didn't want to
say
give it
until-
over.
okay.
Right.
Until
What
Dad
number?
was playing.
Everybody's
Four,
gonna
seven,
They made
four.
it worse. So a few days later, they came and they fixed it. And I mentioned,
way?
you know, Quincy and how he makes the kitchen, makes it think the kitchen glass is broken. And I said, all you have to do is
All right.
define that part of the system. So that's what I'm.
Hi,
gonna
Beth.
remember to do.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Sorry, I don't know what is going on. Oh.
Oh, she didn't shut off.
I did. Uh,
Now it's backtracking.
asked.
There's a lot of echo.
Sounds good.
Now it's better.
That's good there.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
that's
good.
good. Good.
Sorry about all the kerfluffle.
Okay, I moved.
Have you got her, is here?
Well, I saw her mouth.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to our next meeting date is, May 8th, 2025.
Yeah, I will probably have to miss that meeting or be on Zoom for it. We're getting an echo here.
Yeah, now we're getting this feedback again.
You have to mute her.
Mute your phone, so you could hear her, but you're speaking in the mic and she's picking it up. So mute your phone, your microphone. You'll still hear her. Now let's have her talk.
Yeah, I had this, oh, I see, mute.
That way you'll hear her, but she won't hear us talking. She'll hear us still here.
Still here.
Yep,
Yeah, but I think we're
That
still
sounds
gonna get
good.
an echo. No, but it's not.
give it a try.
Luther. Hey, thank you, Luther.
Working out of town, you learn this.
I move that the minutes from the March meeting be approved.
I'll second.
Okay. Chairman Watson,
Aye.
Deputy Chairwoman Lederman,
Aye.
Member Williver.
Aye.
Member Hoke
Aye.
and Member Kraus.
Aye.
And, so we're firm on our next meeting date for being May 8th.
Everybody else can.
Yeah, it's
come?
okay.
Okay,
So if I miss it, we'll still have quorum. Okay.
okay, next one is, Kirk's Spite,
Spite.
Okay, that's one we looked at before for, on Stony Brook Road.
Then he rescinded it.
Mhm.
Oh, and now he's.
Oh, this is the road behind the barn and.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now he's got a house.
Yes. So he's coming back, he's proposing the single family home again. He's also proposing a roundabout like in the front of the house. So that he can, he will be in compliance with the fire district.
Oh.
So just for fire, apparatus purposes.
Hey, let me see if I can mute that. I'm still getting the echo. Beth, can you still hear us? Okay, but we can't hear her at all. Okay, well, we'll have to put up with the echo, I guess. I don't think so.
Would you like me to just turn my phone off and I can put, oh, it's a bad echo.
It's really bad.
Maybe this isn't going to work.
I'm gonna hang up.
Okay,
It's raining out.
All right.
Really gotta get these just
Oh,
fixed. This is
Yes.
it is
ridiculous.
ridiculous and it's different every time for every meeting. Like it's never the same. I don't understand it, but
But
it's,
for the longest time, it was fine.
I know.
But
I
it
know.
seems like most of it though is the sound.
It's the sound.
Now,
Yeah,
I forgot,
yeah,
is there a house on here
yeah.
too?
Last night.
There's
that's what he's proposing
Oh,
now.
Right.
but
I
there's a
know.
house in
It's always
front.
different.
No.
Oh, the,
horse barn.
just the barn,
Yeah, they split
the house.
the barn off of this property.
Okay,
Irvine's there.
you're right. Okay,
The barn is here. There's
Yeah.
another house over here.
Yeah.
yes.
And then this is what's proposed as new.
And they already had an existing driveway one here
Mm-hmm.
and they extended it. And we asked for the culvert here, in that, sloped area. And I don't know what this is though.
Does it show
Is that
the,
like the pull off?
does it show the turnaround or whatever they have to do?
That might be.
For the
what-
fire
that might be what
department?
Dave was just looking at. Vehicle showing.
There's all this area, so it's like a big parking area in front of the house there. There's also that little side one, and that's gonna be a washout area for concrete trucks. So now, when you have concrete come in, you gotta have
Oh, wow.
So,
a what?
a cell.
A cell, which you
Like
can
a
build it
8x8
out of.
area.
Build it out of like hay bales, straw bales, line it with plastic, and then they'll wash out their concrete mixer there.
Then do they collect with the class?
Well, then it dries and,
Dries and then you fold it up, you get rid
yeah,
of it.
you can bury it. or-
But the high line. Public water up there and that. Don't want that, you know, like the horses and stuff and.
We're back.
Oh, no.
It was the wrong number again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who's calling you?
That's a roll number.
She's star 69. She's probably like, who is this guy? Now I gotta find out. I don't know, I'm trying to play around with the sound.
Okay, so, do we have any
So
concerns?
because of all of the contours here, they've got discharge mainly for the gutters
What's,
runoff.
what's the size of it?
Uh,
How large-
acreage,
yeah.
I thought it was like, is it 24 acres right here?
But they're only disturbing 9/10 of an acre,
At this point?
yeah. So they say on the EAF.
Comes back there for some reason.
Maybe it's related to the horses.
So they're gonna change that existing 12-inch but that's corrugated metal pipe with a 24-inch pipe under the driveway there. Because the wetlands comes right down into that area there, so it must run down, runs down through that way.
But the house is not in the wetlands?
No, and the driveway just skirts it.
They have two options for well location. One
Yeah, I saw that too.
close to the driveway in front of the house. The other one behind the house, 210 feet from each field. What they, this means they haven't drove yet to,
I think you said that there were two perk locations, so maybe that's,
Oh, okay.
it says right on the map, though, well option number one,
okay.
Do they do a perk test for a well?
well option number two.
No, it might
No,
be that
no.
they want to
Perk
keep,
is a
Two
separate.
different, yeah.
but they might want to keep the well
Wherever the
away
top-
from the septic.
Right.
I would, yeah.
100 feet.
Is 100 feet enough?
I was gonna say, I think it has to be 100 or 150 feet, doesn't it?
Something, one of the notes said 10 feet. Nothing required between water source and leach field.
Wow.
But I took that from one of the notes, so
Water course,
water source,
okay.
that's nothing. I agree with Sue, I would not
Well,
want.
that was the same thing that they had a problem with on Woodruff Road there.
Yeah, cause it does, yes, it's on here, well, option 2 is 210 feet.
I'd take that one.
Now, it just asking, because I'm afraid I don't know the answer to this, but maybe some of you do. And that is, let's say for the sake of the argument that they go against, not what we would do, but putting the well close to the septic. Is there any risk of anyone other, in addition to themselves, suffering consequences from that? Could it affect the groundwater that goes to other properties and wells and water courses?
Probably all depends how deep the well is too.
Well, if there's not a definitive no to that question, maybe we should put it on the
Well, it
comments.
says right here, 100 feet.
There has to be a well, not for the horse. But maybe he doesn't want to use that. for the house.
That was Danny.
And it says that Monroe County Health Department recommends at a minimum that the well will be sampled for coliform and E. coli bacteria, standard bacteria plate count and nitrates, and that the well will be drilled and tested prior to any house construction.
But there isn't gonna be a problem with leach field affecting the well
Yeah.
prior to house construction.
E. coli.
But like, what if there's couldn't it possibly
Well-
your well come from like an underground
Sure.
stream or?
That's what you hope for.
Yeah,
Right, and like you said, that stream feeds other
yeah. Where does
places.
it come from? Yeah, where does it go?
Okay, yeah, I think we just put that in the comments. See if we have any others.
That's the comment sheet.
Yeah, it's here.
Oh, you got it.
It was in my pile.
Okay.
You can have it if you want.
So,
To Julia this time, because you usually write the notes, so I was like, well, I'll just give it to Julie in her folder this time. Dave kind of had a lot in his folder today.
That's true.
His employee handbook and all that good stuff.
I don't know, I still think it's a lot of messing around for putting that house way back there.
I know it.
Um,
And he talked about, actually, we met with him, John and I met with him because he just wanted to make sure that everything on here looked good. I believe that they're even moving the house a little bit now further to the west just because of this driveway. And, but John said everything seemed okay, John Lindbeck. And, so, but he mentioned about taking the horse barn down eventually. So I don't know. I'm like, the horse barn was the pre-existing, accessory.
That's why you're way,
structure.
that's why you're way back there.
Right, yeah, and
Some
now,
people- I'm sure it varies a lot depending on the condition of the building, but I mean,
Right.
there are people who use the barn as foundation and turn it into a house.
that's true too. So,
I assume he's thought of that.
I'm sure, well, and he was, I believe, and I don't know if he still is, he was renting that out. And we told him that he would have to have a special permit probably in order to keep a business at your location kind of a thing. So I'm assuming that's going to go to the base.
That may be, and that may be why he's gonna get rid of it.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
in part of the driveway, there's what they call a passing area. 50 feet wide by. Or 20 feet wide by 50 feet long.
I guess you would need that in a driveway that long.
I'm just,
mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they have one well option that's way at the beginning of the driveway up by the horse barn. Must be an existing well option. So they were thinking about bringing water all the way back. Instead of drilling a well.
I'm just thinking
And I
about
would
their
rather do
electric
that
and,
here
Yeah.
than next to the barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also had a letter from the fire marshal and he updated it for me from last year, but it's still pretty much the code right now, the fire code. It's just that he needed the emergency vehicle access, which there's a whole line of kind of stipulations as to what, is needed because of that. But John Limbeck mentioned that they're, I guess, supposed to get a new copy of the fire code coming out for 2025. And he believes that residential sprinkler systems are gonna be mandated. So that's something else that Rick Tracy, our code enforcement officer, put in this letter, was that he may want to.
Think about that being that far off the road.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So just as a, precautionary thing, but.
So is there anything else other than the septic and well issue?
I have a very consequential thing.
can I see this for a minute?
Page one, EPA, or number 5, the applicant checked with the habitat type. The applicant type included agricultural. Then on page 3, number 14, did not check agricultural or typical habitat.
Oh, thanks.
Not a big deal, I think, don't understand why. And they check no for the floodplain, that must be right, I just know that land is really much. Sometimes a year.
Yeah, I think John Limbeck has to actually
When
check
was
those
this
now
last
too.
before us?
What's that?
When was it last before?
August. It was in August of last year.
Well,
We have any notes? from
Yeah,
that?
let me look,
Look,
I believe I
this,
put them in
this
here.
state's federal, this is wetlands.
so is saying, yeah, so then to
Well,
say,
wetland, but not necessarily floodplain.
Oh, flood, sorry.
yeah, that could be different, yeah.
It is John Limbeck's floodplain guy.
I don't know if I'd like this well, because this was a horse pasture.
Yeah. Yeah, so either way, there could be problems.
Just Not
I
my,
would encourage
not my first choice.
digging the well closer to the house. Especially because that
Would you
horse
want the
barn is
ending?
there.
Yeah, but
It's been a
then,
horse barn for a long time.
yeah, but then where they're saying it would be if it were near the house is gonna be on top, is gonna be right near the leach field.
Yeah, well, they said, 210 feet away, right?
Right, there were two options up near the house. One was close to the leach field and one was farther away.
Oh, there was two options at the house?
I believe so.
And Dave, you saying there's one by the barn and one by the house?
Right behind the house. They said it's 210 feet from the leach field.
And option number 1?
Option 1 is close to the driveway in front. The horses, I guess. Except he sounds like he's getting rid of it.
So 210 feet from the
Yeah.
leach field.
That's the one I would go with.
Okay, so it's actually the one that's nearer to the leach field, which is probably the least problematic.
Oh, yeah, it was this one.
Oh, the 210 is the one down by the pasture?
Yeah, it must be.
Okay.
No,
No.
no,
No, this
two hundred and 10 feet from the house. from the leach field
And
to the
then,
west of it.
and then the one by the pasture is farther from the house, but it's in the past, in the, in the pasture. So,
Gotta use it for the barn.
Mm-hmm.
So here was the resolution from August's meeting. So we are in support of the town engineers comments in regard to the need for culvert. And we,
Oh, because that was on,
because of the slope, a
Environmental
curtain
assessment.
drain may be needed, yep. And we question potential effects on the existing trees.
is
and
there any
wetlands.
trees showing on that? Or is there any
I-
trees back there?
I thought it was kind of all wooded, but I could be wrong. I think, according to the GIS for now, I think it's.
Was there an aerial view of that or?
Yeah. It's all trees. So this was actually-
from the pipe
It's all trees.
to where the house is, that's 10 foot. Going up, fine, pretty good.
From the well?
No,
No, the slope.
from here,
Oh, okay, up to
here,
here.
10 foot. That Chris Roach control that.
Hope we got a good price. I can't imagine what it's gonna cost him now to,
He's doing a lot of it himself.
yes. Been there, done it,
Yeah,
tell him don't.
I know. I have a neighbor right now that's doing everything himself. He's an engineer. He wanted to build a house, so he's building it, and I'm amazed by what. And he's fairly young. I mean, I am amazed at how he's gotten the trusses up there without, like a mini, crane or anything. He's done it all by just sheer engineering and using like a pulley and I don't know, it's crazy. And it's a pretty good sized house. He's doing good. I bet he's saving a boatload of money,
Especially now.
for sure. I can't imagine what it would cost today. It's crazy. Oh,
That's the old one. Or no, that's a newer one. That's March 10th.
oh, okay, good. Oh, no, that's not the engineering report.
No,
This was,
Oh,
Is there an engineering report for this one?
yes.
Okay,
So the one that Matt just did, this was from last year. I guess he just sent it into Matt just to have him look at it again. This was the one from last year, though. Matt hasn't given us one yet. He will probably at the end of this, just to make sure that everything's good, but prior, the stream on the property is mapped and has dedicated drainage under the roadway. The town may want to require a drainage easement. And then it talks about the easement stuff. The applicant may need to obtain a wetland development permit, which I believe he did do, from the ACOE for the proposed driveway crossing of the wetland. Details of the culvert to be used for the driveway should be shown on the plans, and I believe he has that on there now. Details of a culvert for the temporary construction entrance are included. This should be shown on the plans. Note 17 on sheet OV1 alludes to New York State DEC wetlands. These should be shown on the site plan. I believe they're on there now.
mm-hmm,
The height of the existing home and proposed addition should be noted on the plans. If a pump valve is utilized for the leach field, the details should be provided on the site plans. If dry wells are to be utilized for roof drains, then details should be provided. Will any new outdoor lighting be provided? If so, details of the light fixtures should be provided. The soil stockpile should have silt fence around it. And then the last one is all proposed erosion and sediment control measures should be shown on the plans and be installed and maintained in accordance with the latest version of the New York State DEC standards and specifications for erosion and sediment control. So, the norm. Pretty much.
Which, polyethylene plastic for water. They-
Talk, Beth, let's see. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Agree that.
I know.
Send us notes. Hold up notes.
Send-
If you want, you can chat. And if you have any comments, I can read them. If you want to do that.
Oh, here's a
Oh, she did.
section drawing of the temporary concrete washout facility.
Need to read
You
it.
wanted to know what that was.
Uh-huh. So is it new or is it?
Yeah, like
Just-
in the last couple of years, you don't even want to see
Tree
it.
committee report. I wish these would go. These little things would go. Your part received its.
Right, see that?
Network.
Carol Ralph presented us,
Oh, okay, for for EMC.
well. For the tree,
Oh, the tree advisory committee. Okay,
the old growth forest network.
okay. And I do have the link, Beth. I'll upload it when we get to that.
The other,
Well, yeah,
so you were gonna write what?
if we, well, it depends, I mean, if we want to. But we were gonna, we kind of have objections to both potential well locations, right? Or is the 210 one, are we considering that sufficiently far?
Yeah,
from the
we would
septic
think so.
system? I'm sorry?
We would encourage, you know,
Right,
Sure.
encourage, we can't tell them to
Yeah.
do that, but.
Okay,
we
so
would-
210 is far enough.
yeah,
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 okay.
yeah, plenty
Just
of.
check.
Yeah.
So where did the 10 feet come from?
There was a note. Somewhere,
Oh, okay.
I don't understand it, right? But
Yeah, I always thought it was like a.
Maybe they just left. out
Maybe
the
they left
2.
out a 0 or something.
They
Yeah,
left
oh,
out the
could be.
2. Instead of 210, they said 10.
Oh, that's true too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so anything else before I state a motion? Okay, I move that we add a comment saying that we encourage the applicant to utilize location number 1 for the well as number 2 is near, would have exposure to horse manure, which could have detrimental effects on local water.
Was that number 1?
I think it was number 1 that was down near the,
Oh, okay, well then
We
reverse
want
that.
number 2.
Yeah, we were,
Yeah,
we would
so-
go with number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, let me write it out. I can,
Yeah, that's number 2. 110 feet in the.
After first question system, then you may want to normalize the number 1 for that system. You can keep number
Oh.
2 for.
Where does the water end at in Stony Brook? Down at the park?
At the park, I think.
I'm confused. It's number 2 that's near the house, right?
yes,
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I know a guy on Telephone Road that did that. He was way off the road and he's got one run out. And, but they still have, it's in Henrietta though. They still haven't brought water down the road there.
Yeah.
I think I just died. But he's got, you know, it's stubbed up out at the road, so if they bring water down the road.
Yeah.
He's ready for it, smart.
Yeah.
Cause he was way off the road. And that's an area where they really need water over there. You know, they got 9 lots there,
Yeah,
Why I never got water, yeah.
and it's not that far away.
Right.
Cornwall. He had those 9 lots there in Rush, and he's sold one. So, they built a house on a slab there.
I bought the water down Telephone or up East River there years ago for a couple houses. And then nobody ever continued up. I don't know.
Yeah, well, when they had the fair there at where Horse's Friend is now, they did a temporary from Henrietta into there.
Did they?
Tom
Oh.
McHale was doing it. He did that like
I never
3
did,
years at
Yeah.
least,
yeah.
bringing that in.
Yeah, I forgot, I have notes at home, but something like $6,000 to bring water for the fair.
just for a few
So,
days, yeah.
I don't think people, I didn't know it, I didn't pay attention, I didn't know. I assumed the town did not know that.
Who paid it?
I mean.
Who paid it?
The county.
The county,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is county fair.
Yeah.
We all did.
no, I think it was, yeah, I think Dave's right. It was the county that, but it was a
That's
big
what
expense. It was just
Kathy
too much of an
Chase's sister
expense.
was in charge over
Yeah.
there.
Guy,
Right.
Okay, so I'll state a motion that regarding application number 225-4P, we recommend that the applicant use location option number 2 for the well, as number 1 is near the horse pasture. Bacteria could adversely affect neighboring water supplies, groundwater, etc.
Mhm.
And maybe encourage running a line back in case water does come up the road, being that far off the road,
I don't know that that's our business.
or no.
I mean, that's really kind of I mean, I don't see that as environmental issue.
No.
do you? So anyways, is there a second to my motion?
I second it.
Okay. All right, Chairman Watson.
Aye.
Deputy Chairwoman Liederman,
Aye.
Member Wooliver,
I.
Member Kraus,
Aye.
Member Hoag,
So do you want Marjorie, you want the comment sheet with the application?
you can put that back with that. That's fine. That
This
was
is right here.
So next order of business is the proposed solar is at the corner of Works Road and number 6 road.
No,
Not
this is,
proposed,
no, this was actually the Helios solar field that's already there.
But it's now next year.
Now it's next era, yep. Yep, so they're coming before the zoning board just to get a variance for the tree sizes. So because they had such a high mortality rate with the 14-foot
Yeah,
trees,
Yeah,
they're coming before the zoning board, before, I guess, the solar law is going to change to,
change that.
yeah, to 8 feet tall trees because they have a much higher, rate,
Success.
yeah, of success. So and they also want to, possibly ask for, not having to put them all the way around the whole thing because there's trees in the back, I guess, that they don't feel they really need
That
to.
makes sense.
Not visible
Makes
from the
sense,
road.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really it. They were just coming before zoning this month and I mean, the farm's already there. It's already, being taken care of. It's just all the trees just died out.
And now there's a solar advisory committee.
The trees are not taken.
Now,
They're now planted right in the. first
correct,
place, And they
they,
were not taken care of. and
Yeah.
now So many are dead.
yeah,
I don't know how many might be alive.
So is this an issue of the trees being
Too tall.
too tall, or is
Too
this an
big.
Too
issue of
big.
not?
Too big.
Or,
Yeah.
or is it an issue of And a tree of any size needs some maintenance and they weren't maintaining it.
They shouldn't
Well-
have been planted where there was standing water. They shouldn't have been planted without totally removing the burlap
Yeah,
or the wire
the
basket.
cages.
on the root ball.
Yeah.
And they should have been watered properly at the right time. None of those things happened, and 8-foot trees, they planted 8-foot trees somewhere else and they died. About 50% of them died. So it's a big mess.
mhm.
Well, that
They,
affected 12-foot trees have a poor success rate of being transplanted, because you
yeah,
wipe out so many of the roots when you move them.
yeah,
So,
there were a lot of factors with.
And
with
watering
that.
that many trees,
Oh, there's no way they could. out
right,
there.
there's,
Just
Yeah, but
absolutely,
that was the plan. it was
okay,
set.
originally,
And they should have known if they could or couldn't do it.
right, yeah, it does,
if you're standing out there talking to this, one of the boards, that's a yes man. That's a yes man up there. Doesn't make rhyme or reason difference. We know how that game's played.
yeah, it says here, mid-sized trees typically 4 to 8 feet tall have a 50% higher survival rate compared to larger trees because the systems are more intact and have suffered less disturbance during transplanting. Larger trees often experience more shock and may struggle to establish themselves in a new location.
Are these evergreen trees?
They are mostly evergreens,
Right.
yes.
They said arborvitae is the best.
Yeah, this was a report that Next Era has come out and given for the zoning board just to show the condition of these trees, and basically I don't know if they hired arborists or what, but they came out and did a whole report on all of their findings of them, but the trees, yeah, they look terrible. And it does show in
Like they
there,
were anchored.
well, they were still bald when they were put in the ground. And they still had the wire cages. And I don't believe that, and some people have said, because we've put in our own trees as well, and we've always taken the cages off and everything, but some landscapers and that have told us that if you keep the cage in the ground, the roots will grow around that cage and that cage will stabilize them, but I don't know. It's never been,
That's not what the report said.
well, right.
Supposedly a professional objective report saying you have to remove burlap entirely. You have to remove the wire cages.
Right. I don't know, Beth. I'm gonna look and see. Beth posed the question, were they planted at the right time of the year?
That's the other thing. They
I
would
don't know.
rather being planted in the spring or the fall.
Fall, yeah.
fall.
They were in the fall.
I'm no,
Oh,
planting is
Planting
best
is
in
the
the
best,
fall.
yes.
I think they were planted in August.
Okay.
Before trees have a chance.
Yeah, right in the hot time of the.
So in order to avoid a repeat of this, no matter what the size of, leave aside the moment, the size of the trees, because we can work that, that's what they're asking for, but we can work that into our recommendations. Is there something we can, recommend be required in order to prevent a recurrence? Because otherwise, then they're gonna come back and say, we shouldn't have to plant trees at all because they die.
Right,
They're gonna say yes, but then they have to be held to what they said yes to,
Exactly.
or we're not accomplishing anything.
So they worked, somebody, town worked with them for 3 years and come up with a professional plan. And then and they got approval and it wasn't followed. So I agree, where is the enforcement? And so what, they get what they're requesting now. Are they going to do what they need to do? Also, I do not understand how, at this point, a variance of any kind, I mean, they're asking for more than one variance. How do variances come into play? As I understand it, knowing very little about the zoning board of appeals, a variance is requested and either granted or denied before.
Oh, yeah, no, I think what I hear from Marjorie saying, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Marjorie.
Okay.
What I hear is that it's not that they're asking for a variance after the fact. They're asking, this is a new company asking for a variance now that they're gonna have to replace the trees, they're asking for a variance in how they do it. You know, so for the next round of tree planting is we want the variance. They're not saying they want to, that's what I gather. They're not saying we
That's-
want retroactive approval, because we couldn't even do that. You can't do that.
Right. No, it's
but-
going forward.
But what they're saying is, when we replace these trees, we want to replace them with 8 foot instead of 14 foot. The rules require 18 foot.
Right. 14.
14,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, the rules require 14 foot.
right.
But in the variance, they're saying when we replace these trees, we want the variance so that we can replace them with 8 foot instead of the original size.
Well, and the other problem with that whole thing too, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, Luther, I believe that these trees that were planted out there, they came from all over different places. They did not come locally because there's no amount of those types of
There's
trees
supply.
in stock.
Right.
So that was a big problem too. Beth says maybe the tree advisory committee should get involved. I don't know.
I don't think they deal with trees on private property. I think the tree committee
Okay,
is very specifically charged with trees on public owned
just on
land.
public. Okay.
Otherwise, I thought the same thing, and then I was remembering, yeah, but they
That
don't do.
because we discussed
Yeah.
about someone coming in and saying you have to cut your tree down.
Yeah, but couldn't they
Right.
provided by, just like we're a conservation board, we're not arborists. We're
Well-
not saying what people can and cannot do, but we are considering the different factors, especially having this tree mortality. Many pages were in the derivation table.
Yeah.
Explaining point after point after point that were that those points, those plans were not adhered to.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I think the tree advisory committee, I don't see how it could hurt to at least consult them. They know more than we know, or more than I know about trees.
Yeah, well, we could include that as a suggestion. I mean, the tree advisory board doesn't have to do it, but if the zoning board wants to ask them to weigh in on our recommendation and they want to weigh in, why not? But I think there are a couple approaches we could take here. We could, again, obviously, all we can do is recommend, but we want to stand by what we recommend. So on one hand, we could recommend, no, we advise against the variance because this is a self-inflicted wound from the company. I mean, generally zoning variances are given when there's a problem that is not the fault of the applicant. One could argue here, based on the information Pat's giving us, that it is the fault of the applicant because they agreed to do something. They could have said then that it wasn't realistic, it wasn't going to work out. They agreed to do it, they didn't do it. And now they're asking for a variance, and what assurance, if any, do we have that the same thing isn't going to happen all over again, regardless of the size of the trees? Now, that's option one that I see. There may be 20, but I see two. Now let me just get into
Go
option
ahead.
two. Option two would be to say that, okay, we have some problems with what happened in the past. Going forward, we would agree to support the proposal with the stipulation that, and we'd have to come up with the stipulations, but along the line of making sure that it's done right. That an expert of the town's choosing, paid for by the applicant, would oversee the process to ensure that the trees are planted in such a way that they can be sustained over time. So that's the second option that I see in the approach that we would take.
I just have a question to ask, and maybe it's because I hear things. I thought the solar law was going to be changed
Yeah.
for smaller trees.
It is.
So,
there's a lot of dynamics. to change.
Basically, I mean, yes, this was older and under the old law.
Yeah,
But if they were to do it today.
Right.
The 8-foot trees would be acceptable.
So that would support option 2.
Well. The solar law, as you understand, that's how we're talking about the trees. The second
Right.
issue is, there's nothing in the existing solar law. That have the town enforce the fact of how the trees were planted and to who
Oh,
respects it,
Right,
right?
right,
There's nothing there.
right.
Well, the law
It-
isn't there, but if we're gonna give a variance, we can add that enforcement possibility.
And that, your second option is a good option. Now,
Mhm.
when the solar law gets. Finally designed, we're working with the code committee and we're trying to come up with different things. There's a lot because we're trying to. Do a lot. There'll be some teeth in it, more teeth, right? Town engineer. May be the one who goes out and has a designee go out there and make sure that's installed correctly on the installer's dime. Right. So. Your option 2 is pretty close to what the solar group is thinking about. But that's what we're
Right,
thinking about, but
right.
this is your group, so you guys gotta, what you wanna do.
Beth says, I think option 2 is good.
And I think Sue feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Any objection to ever going with option 2? We can.
I have a blind spot about the variances, I guess. Don't understand the chronology. Variances, I know you did address this and answer it, but I didn't get it. Variances are requested before
Right,
a
but,
project
Yeah.
is approved.
but they're asking for a variance going forward. I mean, leaving aside the fact they didn't do what they were supposed to do in the first place, but they're saying, okay, now, whatever happened before, we have to plant more trees. When we go in there and plant more trees, we want a variance so we can plant smaller trees
As
now.
opposed to what, when they applied and built it, it was 12-foot trees. Or 14, tall
Yeah.
trees.
So
And
we're still talking about going forward. Not that, not retroactive, because we're talking now about the next round of planting.
Right. And I'm not an expert on zoning. I've gotten much better and I've learned a lot. But I would say that a variance is an appeal to a situation. Doesn't necessarily mean it's an old project or a new project in my mind, just because they are appealing that the first trees did not work. So can we plant smaller trees to fulfill that code by the solar, by the solar group and by the solar law that says you need to plant a barrier of such and such trees around the perimeter. And they feel that with an 8-foot tree versus a 14-foot tree, it also promotes a lot of growth over those next 5-10 years, which will, they will be living and they will also be just as tall, as the 14-foot trees planted in their day.
Maybe alive.
Yes.
Okay.
Did all
I
the-
just-
did
there
all the
has to
trees
be
die?
enforcement.
Did all the trees die?
There's a good amount.
Most.
I haven't been by there
How
lately.
much?
I don't think they were staked at all, it shows in the picture.
Right, they just
were
looked like they
tipping
were put,
over.
pushed in
Oh,
there.
without
The,
staking,
The
a 14
holes
foot
were wide enough.
Well, they have a lot of water problems out there as well. So a couple of the holes they showed.
I saw the hole just full.
Yeah, full of water, so they pulled the tree out and it's just flooded out, I want to say a good majority, right, Luther? They're pretty much a good majority of them are dead. Yeah, or dying, or they look, you know, some have girdled trunks down at the root because they did not take the burlap and all that stuff off. I mean, it's really, yeah, it's sad. It's
Very
sad. Yep. I mean, just from experience, and this is just my opinion, but from experience, we have planted a lot of Norway spruces out at our house. And we have 5 right now in our berm that block everything from our lot, the backyard, to the next lot. And they were very small when we first put them in, probably 10 years ago. I would say right now, they've got to be like 16, 17 feet. But the other ones that we planted, every one that we've kind of planted ourselves or have had, you know, people come in and plant, they were always around 5 feet. And it's even hard to keep them watered when they're at 5 feet, and I'm on 2 acres, so it's hard to get them, you
Yeah,
know,
but
the
you-
water and everything that they need.
But that's on them.
That's on them. You're right.
You know, if
You're
they
right.
felt it couldn't be done, then that was up to them to say so.
You're right.
Not say, oh yeah, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it,
Right.
and then, oh wow, we can't do that.
And as far as I know, they had hired a property maintenance group to go out there. And when Matt, or a town engineer, did visit last August or September timeframe, it had not been mowed at all out there either. Like he said, like, you know, 3-foot tall weeds
God.
around it. So I don't know, you know, I mean, I don't know if NextEra is new, you know, to owning this, and that's why I have no idea. Like, I don't know much about the whole solar projects, but as far as, you know, maintenance was concerned, no, they probably did keep up with it. But also, I think whoever they hired to put the trees in didn't do a good job either. So
And
it's
that-
hard.
And that's still on them.
It is.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sort of like reminds me of the arguments we used to have with the building maintenance, you know, in the office building where I work. Well, you know, it's an old building. It's hard to heat and air condition. You're collecting rent based on providing
You're right.
offices with heating and air conditioning.
Right.
So, you know, we can't just say it's an old building.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just look-
Exactly. And it's very,
Oh.
it's hard, but at the same time, yes, that's what they're paying for, is a comfortable work environment. So, yeah.
I'll state a motion that we go with option 2, but I think I better write it down first. Do you trust me?
Go ahead. Doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Okay, well, I want to start by saying in background that we feel that a lot of the issues are the fault of the applicant for not adhering to the requirements for proper planting and maintaining of the trees.
Or isn't the applicant a new owner
Yeah.
of the solar field? So that's
Okay,
That's
kind of
what
an
I'm
unfair
not sure.
statement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, of the
previous.
The previous owner did not maintain it
Right.
as according to the agreed.
okay, previous, okay, fine, you can say previous applicant.
For what it's worth, application, page 1, the owner has not signed it. I don't even know who the owner is.
Oh, so this was actually, yes, Bruce Howlett is actually the owner. They are doing it under his business, Richland Resources. So this is authorization to act on property owner's behalf. So this is if they want an agent. They're not going really with an agent. It's basically Bruce Howlett's company. So he doesn't have to sign off there just because he is not asking for anybody to on his behalf. But then a representative from Richland Resources signed the rest of the application here. So it was it's a little, yeah, deceiving. But that is somebody that is working with Richland Resources from NextEra. So it's kind of a little bit of a crazy thing. But yeah, I let that go because he's using his business as the applicant. He's the applicant technically, but he doesn't really
He owns the business.
He owns the business, which in the property.
I'm out of it.
yes, But I have no idea. I don't know. These solar deals, they're very convoluted to
So they
me.
keep changing, the owners, the
Yes,
owner.
If
of
they
the
get bought.
solar installation.
Yeah.
Anything new on, the Gola solar facility?
I have not heard anything. I don't think that, anything has been done yet about any, like.
They planning
any-
on, they're expanding the substation
Yes,
down there.
Yes, yep, and that's for the.
And
purposes
lines
from
coming
the-
into it.
Yes.
It was in the
It's a-
paper yesterday.
It's the
Yes.
line, it's
Yeah.
to put up one of those new big,
Yeah.
Big line, change the poles from wooden to
right,
Yes.
that's,
steel structures.
Yeah,
That's
just
a-
to help support.
And that's
the
gonna come all the way
solars.
from Brighton, Henrietta, and then to Rush.
so did they sell the land or are they
I
leasing
don't
it?
know.
They bought land, National Grid
Lee
bought
Hetrick
land.
sold his.
Yeah.
Yes.
Outlets, or Hedrick sold his, yeah.
He sold his
No.
over there and go, and then the town has not done anything. And I'm aware.
That was listed as a real estate transaction. It just said
Uh-huh.
Polo Road, no number or anything, $700,000.
$701.
701.
Yes,
Now, would it be worth suggesting that they're actually going to be required to post a bond to be used by the town for corrective action should the, the requirements not be met?
They're requiring one for the solar facility.
So why not? I like that. Might not happen, but.
Well, yeah, all we're doing is suggesting.
Yeah.
All we can do.
Because Bruce put in the application, right? What'd you
yes,
say it was Richland Resources?
yeah, it's his company.
He's planted a lot of trees around. A lot.
Has he?
You're allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were planted as small ones.
Yeah. I kind of have, myself, I have mixed thoughts again, my own opinion, but I have mixed thoughts about why we need trees around them. But that's just me.
It's line of sight stuff.
I know,
I don't.
I know.
And they're gonna get
Yeah.
big and guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna block the solar.
Yes, I
They're
don't
gonna
know,
block
something
the
like
solar
that.
Panels, so they're not going to have efficiency.
Right, right.
There's one that I go by a lot in Avon and they put trees around it and all the 8-foot trees and they're all doing good.
Yeah,
Uh-huh,
But they're on the south side, so they're gonna get bigger
right,
and,
yeah. I mean, it's a,
so you gotta have them quite a ways away from that solar.
Yeah.
And some of the solar panels are self-adjusting too.
uh-huh.
I understand a group of healthy established trees were removed from this parcel. Is that because of what you're saying, Dave? I mean, how?
This parcel,
Yeah,
yeah, no, that was all cornfield in there. That was all farm field in there.
there's not a clump of trees. That's
No.
what I was told.
No, I grew up right around the corner from it. If there were trees that were taken down, they show some poplar trees along the edge. On that one map. But it was all farm field. At one point, there was a barn there that fell in a long time ago. It used to be called the Burgett Farm.
Well, I would think if there's ever an issue for us, it would be trees.
mhm,
Is this new?
yes,
Now theoretically,
It comes from the county.
what's it amendment?
the water district overlay.
Flo- Well,
Or floodplain, yes,
yep.
floodplain, yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say theoretically, could they put a berm around it instead of 12-foot trees?
I'm sure they probably could, but
What
but
they
then
also
put the
are doing
trees in
is
the berm,
Putting berms and then trees on. top
trees
of
on
berm.
the berm, yeah,
That because that would raise them up above.
yes,
Well, can,
saturated
water.
soil.
yeah,
can we add that to our recommendations?
Sure, it's in that tree mortality report.
Yeah.
along with all kinds of.
Well, the one
I
in
didn't realize
Avon, I
that
believe,
was-
has, there's one, going out toward Caledonia
So now all
area.
these people have to
They're
make sure they
right
have
in
flood
the-
insurance?
I think it's like right in that.
Wanna add
Is that another?
additions,
A roof
things,
line.
yeah.
Yes,
After the 5 and 20.
yes,
come
and
in,
that
get
one
a
has the
flood
berm
permit.
all the way around it, but the trees are in the berm.
Expensive.
Must be money in the service.
It's the whole town.
Yes, I think there
Oh.
is.
He doesn't do anything that there's not money. in.
I don't know. Relative.
Okay,
I-
ready to hear a motion?
Oh, yeah, you didn't know that?
You do?
No,
That's
Oh,
her cousin.
Bruce is my cousin.
this is your cousin?
Yes.
Oh my God. Small town of Rush.
Okay, this is a long motion.
Okay.
We believe, number one, we believe that the problems are attributable to the former owner/manager's failure to adhere to requirements for proper planting and maintenance. Going forward, we do not oppose the usage of 8-foot trees with the provision, in capital letters, that the applicant be required to utilize an arbor professional of their town's choosing at the applicant's expense to ensure proper planting and maintenance. Conservation Board recommends that the applicant post a bond to be used by the town for corrective action if the terms and conditions are not met. 2, recommend that the Rush Tree Committee be asked for input if the committee wishes to offer it. 3, recommend that a berm be added with trees to be planted in the berm.
Yeah, and the only thing, the berm, this is quoting from the tree mortality report on the derivation table. The berm by itself would offer limited root space for the
Oh,
trees with
yeah.
questionable anchorage as the trees matured. So, but I thought there was also a place where they said berm, it raises them up above the saturated
Yeah.
soil. For,
That's what you want.
So do you want to leave that in or take it out about the berm?
they say good and bad things themselves
Yeah.
about. the
Leave it in there, just as a note.
Okay, so I've read the motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
All right. Okay, Chairman Watson,
Aye.
Deputy Chairwoman Liederman,
Aye.
Member Woolever,
Staying.
Member Kraus. Member Hope,
I think you're right here. What's your house number? Yeah, you're right here. So it's the back, but you probably already
It
know.
is anyway.
Yeah, pretty-
And those are state,
Oh, pretty good.
those are state protected
This is
wetlands.
kind of fun. all right,
Okay.
so.
Move on to old
Pretty
business.
fancy.
Okay.
Any old business? Business report, EMC.
The March meeting was all about improving the Buckland Creek. There's a restoration project for Buckland Creek. Very involved, but interesting ideas like, for people, residents who have the creek running through their property, this, organization did a huge rain barrel, project and provided all, at no charge, provided all of the materials, the education and all of that. And you talk about rain barrels being helpful because obviously it would collect the water, which could then be, it's like a detention pond, I guess, but small. Anyway, they made the point that development, obviously, is what we're concerned about so much. Development changes the amount of runoff, increases it. Development brings increased, increased impervious surfaces and then increased transport of pollutants into the waterways. to this increased runoff. It's just not a good thing. A fun fact, a half inch of rainfall, 1/2 inch of rainfall on a 1,000 square foot roof produces over 300 gallons of water. If that water can be captured, it can be recycled. For this project, they used barrels donated by Genesee Brewery because they're food grade. And then the water was caught and slowly used for gardens and such. But it would promote lower infiltration of water into the ground. Better for the environment, animals and all that. All on with that. Their presentations are very good, as Beth has said. Just upcoming things, the Sierra Club is giving away trees on April 26th at Webster Park, Seneca Park, Genesee Valley Park, and Park, but they're bare root plants. New York State DEC and Trout Unlimited are hosting a family-friendly fishing event April 26th from 1 to 4 at Cobb's Hill Park. And this Wednesday's EMC meeting, I will announce that Rush has received the Tree City designation.
Great.
Good group.
The Rush
You.
Code Committee. Town board approval of commercial district and off-street parking. Tom did that, and then, Scott Strack sent me, to look at all the manufactured homes, mobile homes. Code for that, new code for that. And,
Mobile homes, we don't have any mobile homes in.
but if they were to come.
Well, that'll,
Yeah.
That's a hornet's nest right there.
Isn't.
Gotta
No, I'm
live,
just kidding.
live someplace, right?
Hornet's nest.
Hill Road, Hill Zone, the mobile
Oh,
home.
that's
Yeah.
right, that.
At one time.
there used to be, and then somebody actually wanted to do it, because the whole idea was nobody would want to do it there, but then
Right
somebody
next to
did,
The old landfill,
and the School of Industry.
right?
Yeah. That was back in '94 that they were proposing that.
We did just have a call. It's like a couple of days ago
About what?
about manufacturers.
Somebody looking for one?
Okay.
Manufacturers, I don't have,
Yeah.
mobile homes, I'd have more of an issue with.
Well, no, manufactured
the
is
same-
mobile, I think it's
yeah.
modular.
Modular.
Okay, okay.
Modular is like stick built, but it's in a,
Oh, no, modular is when the pieces are assembled
Right.
elsewhere.
Right,
Then
in
they're
a-
brought to the site
in
and
an
assembled.
indoor facility, yeah, but manufactured homes are mobile homes. But anyway, I
It's
don't
a place to play on,
yes, it is.
but it is definitely a difference.
Yeah.
One comes on with attached wheels that don't come off, and one, the other one, they lift off the frame, so.
And they
Well-
can make those manufactured homes, big ones.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
some
There
of
were
them
a couple
are
of them.
huge.
I worked on one of them over.
But the construction of the modular homes can be better quality
Mhm.
because the manufactured homes have to be light enough and meet the requirements to put them out on the road.
Right,
Well, the intent of the modular home is that once it's assembled, it stays there. So they don't have to, they can use heavier materials and so on.
That mobile home is plywood, just tin can.
Yeah. So Jim and Nancy Miller's home on Stony Brook is modular.
Yeah, my neighbors across the street and next door it's a modular home, the small one across from our property. Yeah, I saw them
Which
build
one
it.
is that? The gray one on the hill?
Well, see, if you look up, if you look at from my house across the street, and then, you know, you've got the big house there, and then the next one over, the small ranch house, that was, that's modular. So,
Also, the code committees, they came in front of the town board last night, or we had a workshop Monday. For the art district, R20, R30, some changes that are going on with that. And there's a lot to it, so we're gonna. I think tackle the first phase. So that's like 40 some pages of. Stuff the town boards that go through and have another meeting next month. So they did a lot of work on that. That's pretty impressive, to be honest with you, but got a few questions on it. So the town board, you know. Monday was the first time we really got to see it. Go over it with Scott and we're gonna review it over this month here and then we're gonna come back, have another workshop and go over it, but there's a lot to that.
I don't remember that we talked about mobile homes at the comprehensive plan committee.
Well, the mobile homes hasn't even got to us yet. That's a
but
whole different issue.
Oh, I understand.
This is just,
Okay, yeah, but Dave, you know, I don't think that was a part of the I don't remember it being discussed or being in the comprehensive plan one way or the other.
So let me just jump in. I do have a copy of the comprehensive plan that we put in here for any meeting use or whatever, but we just ask that no one removes it from the room, but we do have a copy of it now in here. We did not before, so
Oh, good.
yeah,
And it's available online too.
it is, yes.
So I just say that as something to think about as you discuss it, you know, like what
Yeah.
is what, if anything, does the comprehensive plan have to say about it? Because that's really where, you know, that was supposed to be the blueprint for what happens.
Anything else?
Anything you else want to say as the report as the liaison, or that was fine if that was it, I just.
primarily just coal committees working away, solar committees working with the coal committee. It sounds like overall it's going pretty good. Trying to address some of the issues such as the trees, the hazardous materials that's used with them. We also brought up the point that the small homeowner solar farms, solar fields, I shouldn't say farms, small solar fields for the homeowners. There appears to be a lot of them out in the south of the town where there's well water. A lot of the panels, well, they're not made of PFAS. If they were to burn, the chemicals that would run out of that solar panel would probably, not most likely, contaminate their well. So while we're trying not to put a burden on the homeowner per se, but we want to have some things in place, so if there was a fire, there'd be a checklist of what they would have to test for in the ground, because you're not gonna want to be, the solar farm, solar fields could be remote from the house, so the house could be very livable, just beyond regular 110 power or whatever. But if that burns, those chemicals could, if the well's near them, somewhere like that,
Oh, it's scary.
we want to have them checking that stuff. We want kind of like, we're trying to put a punch list together for homeowners. That what things to be aware of, not to add any cost to them, but be aware of, if this happens. This is what you want to be doing. So we're trying to put a lot of that together, and that ties into the tier 3, and it just, you start down one road and you got 5 fingers running off of it, so.
Well, they want to do soil testing before it's even put in, right?
Well, they should, you know, that's
On
more of the
large
big
scale.
3, on the big 3, you want to,
Yeah.
you know. On the small ones, it's probably not as critical, but because the wells are tested before they even use it. But the real character is, and they do burn the panels.
You said, your daughter's experience was horrendous.
But that's with a battery out there, one of the
Las Vegas.
storage batteries burned in San Diego, and that went on for months and months.
Ooh.
And, it started a whole big thing out there, because evidently it got put in without a lot of knowledge to the people, and when this was burning, everybody had to have the windows closed, everybody's running around with masks, everybody, it's just, the chemicals they were putting out was unbelievable. So those are all things we're looking at.
A good article in yesterday's paper about in California where they had all the wildfires and the lead content and all the soil around there. People can only spend so much time going in and trying to get stuff out of their burned out homes because of it.
Yeah. And
A lot of lead comes from building materials, right? 1978, I think it was, older homes are burned paint.
Yeah, I think I saw how they go through a home and they take out the most hazardous stuff and then,
yeah, well,
It's-
not
it's
my
quite-
company
it's
now,
quite a
but our
process.
company, well, we send guys out there and they'll walk house to house. Pick up paint cans, pick up stuff like that. But yeah, there's still just phenomenal contamination.
Yeah.
mhm.
And the runoff.
We're looking at that, the town board, and also we had a report. I didn't catch her name because I was on the screen there, but, she is part of the park, the 100 acre park over here, and I guess they've applied for a forest city or old forest,
Old growth,
old growth,
yeah.
Yes.
Carol Ralph.
and, they're working on that.
That's
So,
exciting.
we're waiting to see. The town board just wants a few questions answered before we vote on it. That is that, what's the dynamics of, if we say, yeah, well, let's do it, does that mean that we cannot cut a tree if it needs to be, maintained, or what's the kickback on it? So we're finding out about that right now.
What'd you say the lady's name was?
Carol Ralph.
Wasn't Root, Don Root.
No, Katie Root. Julia knows them.
I know the roots,
And
yes.
Don, of course, was on their
Yeah,
board. Yeah.
nice guy.
Look at that.
So Beth wanted me to pull this link up about the Old Growth Forest Network. And I'm just gonna see if Beth, is there anything you want me to go into for the old growth forest? Please read what I wrote in the comments above. Okay, so she said the tree committee report, 52 acres of the 100 acres nature park received a designation from the old growth forest network. It is designed or designated a community forest that, oh, this is because of the age of the trees. Carol Ralph presented this at the town board meeting last night. The town board must pass, I can't see that part, probably a law, Luther? Maybe? A law.
Yeah, agree to go along with it.
Okay, to induct the forest into the community network. The purpose is to create a connecting forest throughout the US for preservation, conservation, and it gets cut off like when I try to scroll. I don't know why. And the link was just to share the organization, the Old Growth Forest Network, if anyone would like to know more info. All right, so I can forward that link if anybody wants to look at it. And
What
it
are
is
they calling old? What's,
oldgrowthforest.net. So creating a
guess-
national network of protected old growth forests.
I guess we don't quite make the old forest, we're the step below it.
Right, and I think that's what Beth talked about prior to now, was that it wasn't necessarily as an old growth forest.
Or coastal. Okay.
But we're close, yes.
There's
In that-
52 acres of it.
Yes, so it says on here, the Old Growth Forest Network is the only national network in the US of protected old growth native forests where people of all generations can experience biodiversity and the beauty of nature. And then you can find a forest near you. So I'm assuming that we can possibly be, put our name in for this.
There's
By the
one in
sounds of it.
Rochester, the Washington Grove, Rochester is an old growth forest. And Gosnell Big Woods, I think it's just over the line in Wayne County. It has been protected, preserved permanently by the Genesee Land Trust, and it's beautiful.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think she
Large
said this is
part of that
52
Hemlock Lake
acres.
Too, that Don Roof talked about,
Okay,
it's inaccessible, most of it though,
Gosnell has.
that's why it's old.
And we could get to it.
Gosnell is old, but it is open to the public. There are great trails,
Okay.
great parking area. Bring your dog on a leash.
yeah. Beth, do you want me to forward that link to everybody? Okay. All right, I can do that.
And anything else? Move to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. Chairman Watson,
Aye.
Deputy Chairwoman Liederman,
Aye.
Member Woolever,
I,
Member Kraus,
I
Member Hoke. Hi, she's all ready. I will get this fixed for, well, I definitely have to get it fixed for my zoning meeting, so, but we will look into this, so. Thanks, Beth.
thank you, Beth.
Good to see you. At least we can see you. Can't hear you.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.